Hey guys, thought I'd make a video, talk to you guys about what it's really like to be a UPS part-time supervisor. Probably in all of UPS is probably the worst job you could possibly have. I know that if any of you have actually worked in a distribution center, from loader to unloader or anything, most definitely part-time supervisor is the bottom of the barrel. Do I have any type of hate towards UPS? Actually, I don't. I worked for UPS for 3 years. Keyword is worked. I just recently left. I left on a good note, man. All the people that I worked with, actually really good people. My managers, really good people. Loaders, unloaders, anybody that worked a preload, anybody that worked Twilight. I never really had any major issues with anybody when I worked there. I was a good supervisor, hard worker. Actually, that's not a good thing at UPS because part-time supervisors aren't supposed to do anything. Essentially, what your job has been reduced to is doing absolutely, positively nothing. Anything that's ever told you about the working at UPS, how strenuous it is, how hard it is, the pressure that's put on people to perform, conflicts between management and the union, all true, 100% true. As a matter of fact, if you do terrible, you are promoted and put in for awards and given prizes. It is amazing. Outside of like a death threat, bringing a weapon to work, you taking a truck and actually driving it possibly off a bridge into a ravine somewhere, you're gonna have a job, man. You might be gone for a little while, but you'll come back. But for managers, the entire day is spent around people watching us and telling me everything that I can't do. Like, I don't even understand that. What it breaks down is you've lost all your ability to do absolutely anything. If you're trying anything to work in a gray area, to push a preload forward, to make that number, to get those drivers out the door, nobody really cares. Nobody cares. All they care about is if you're a manager, if you touch a box. That's it. It got to the point where I actually started wearing white shirts to work. And I would do absolutely, positively nothing. I would just sit there and drink coffee. I would watch people work. I would inform my boss that I did nothing all day. And he didn't seem to have a problem with that. He'd be like, that's great. Just keep doing what you're doing. As long as your paperwork is in line, these people are struggling right here to make it. That's a good thing. I never thought it was a good thing. I never thought it was a good thing at all. I used to think that it was insane that we used to overwork people to well beyond what a normal limit should be for a person, loading 2,000 packages in 7 trucks. I don't want that number to scare you. Anybody that works for UPS, that actually is a doable number sometimes, depending on the load and what size those packages are and where they're actually going, and what time of year it is. But to say that it's the distance that you actually have to cover up and down these belts to make that happen. There's no easy job at UPS. Every job in UPS, outside of a part-time supervisor, has some degree of difficulty with it and physicality to that. If you work with any supervisor at any level, Twilight, preload, if they've never worked as a line worker in UPS and didn't ascend, you don't even talk to them because they don't understand what it's like to unload trucks on rate, to work the sort aisle, to load trucks, to unload, to work E-reg, to work on all the different parts, small sort, to work in any parts of those buildings to make that happen. Even be a driver to a driver's helper. All of it requires hustle, man. You got to be hustling. You got to be pushing yourself every day. I used to think that it was sad that I couldn't get fortitude out of people to actually work continuously for 4 hours. Not so much me trying to make them work, they just couldn't do it themselves, especially during peak. They might last maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then they would disappear, they would be gone. All kinds of excuses, this, that, and the other. Things you have to put up with, people not wearing shoes. I used to have people that used to come to work with flip-flops on. I'd be like, that's all right, it's cool. Maybe go to a car and get some more, you'd be all right. No shirt, looking for paychecks, smelling like weed and carrying on, and God knows what else is going on. I would say that I had some really good times at UPS. I've laughed so hard at UPS to where I thought I was gonna die from all the laughing that I did. And I was pushed really, really hard. I was in the Army for a long time. I got out, I compare it to actually being in the Army, not working there, but actually being a soldier. It's like working for UPS is like that grind of it. And there is a lot of camaraderie built between yourself and the employees, or vice versa, just the employees in general. A lot of people do these jobs part-time for a really long time. Don't always knock on a part-time supervisor because they don't drive, because they chose a different path. Like for me personally, I can't drive. I physically can't do it. I'm older in my life. I have problems with my knees. It's just not just not doable for me to be a driver. And also, that should be a young man's game. You know what I mean? Let those people listen. I've already had that opportunity in my life. It's time for somebody else to get up in there and really make some things happen. And it's a good job, man. All that benefits on the union side is most definitely a really good job. Everything is paid for. On the management side, not so much. Actually, being a part-time supervisor, you don't hardly make anything at all. I didn't make enough money to actually pay my mortgage. Granted, it's a part-time job, but that part-time job encompassed an incredible amount of my life. You know, I don't know how it was even possible to do 25 hours that spanned over 6 days that becomes all-encompassing. Less than 40 hours. I mean, thank God I've got other stuff going on in my life. I've got a side business, I've got a bunch of other stuff. So, you know, I did it for 3 years. At the time, it was a good thing. You know, somebody recommended it to me. I thrived in that environment. It was good. Still good friends, you know, with the people some of the people that I worked with, some of those managers, we parted on really, really good terms. And it's kind of like reached my combativeness with doing absolutely positively nothing at work, not being able to allow to anything, and everybody knowing it as well. And just being paralyzed by the relationship between the union and UPS. In some instances, I can see how abuse was in place. I personally witnessed employees being targeted, being pushed well beyond their limits, knowing they don't have the physical capabilities to do those jobs. Dude, I mean, come on. You have to have some type of drive within you and some type of physicality to be able to do some of these jobs. Any of these guys ever try to do E-regs by yourself? You know what I mean? Humping these boxes, running, splitting a belt. Don't even talk to me about that on a really, really heavy line. Whew, unloading on rate. Every 3 seconds, that box hitting it down. Once you get into a routine of doing it, you just start doing it, and you start doing it, and you start doing it, and you start doing it. Some people just don't ever really get it, but I'm not there to try to like target people. You know, I never could. I got to the point to where we couldn't correct anybody. Poor performance didn't matter. No matter how many times it didn't matter. Can't do it. You know, outside of things that I said, just literally threatening, physical altercations, taking a truck, driving it off a cliff, wrecking, extreme drunkenness at work. I mean, you're there, bro. You're locked in. And that's happening to you, man. God forbid I cuss, say the word like fuck or something. Oh my God, you think the world's coming to an end? I gotta go before a board. I used to sit there and laugh sometimes. I'd just be like, this is insane, man. It's not tit for tat or anything, but looking at the bigger picture, all we're trying to do is just move the preload forward. And there's gonna be tons of people that hate on that. Blah, this, man, that's bullshit, you know, man, blah, 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 whatever. I'm gonna get paid, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. And I got so sick of hearing all that, man. It used to be like just noise in the background, man. Do what you gotta do, man. Do what you gotta do. I'm gonna concentrate on trying to move this preload forward. So anybody that's thinking about becoming a part-time supervisor, unless you want to ascend, unless you really want to be full-time, don't do it. Just don't do it at all. Maybe, you know, go into being driving, work on the preload or twilight. That's probably a way better path. Maybe you can work in dispatchers, other positions inside of it. A part-time supervisor, if you don't want to like go up and to move to something else, do not do that job, because it is a complete, utter brain fuck, and it is a complete waste of your time. All you'll do is spend an incredible amount of time away from your family, doing absolutely nothing, or sitting in a corner getting yelled at by employees about the most ridiculous shit you could possibly imagine. You know, touching this box, you moved here, you stepped on my foot. I mean, just constant. Everybody walking around buildings looking at you. They're trying to make money off of you. And that's just how, I wouldn't say that it's the employee themselves. Some people most definitely abuse it. It's just the environment that's been created based on that union contract and that relationship. And the relationship is not good. Anybody tells you that, they're so full of shit, man, that it is combative as hell. It is so combative. I've seen people getting physical altercations, fights. I'm really surprised that some managers just didn't get crunched up and thrown into the back of a truck and thrown on the side of the road. I'm being serious, man. There's just, you get this really oddball mix of people working UPS. The people who work there for a really long amount of time, they totally get the system, they understand how it works, and it's going to make it happen every day. And believe it or not, I actually miss that. I miss being able to go into work and work with people who get it and just want to work, and managers and employees both. So there are positives to that environment that I worked in, but there's also negatives to it. And I just decided it was time for me to bow out. It was never going to be something that I retired from, but it is something that I know that I could have done longer and probably enjoyed it more if I had just been in a different position. Even my full-time supervisor got blasted. It was exactly the same. He was powerless to virtually do anything. You might be able to bark a good game for a day or two, but in the end, when it goes to that board and those union reps come in there, ain't nothing happening. Exact same people are going to come back, same performance, same blah, blah, blah. And you rotate a workforce, man. There's only so many people who are even willing to do this job. You know, that's it, man. That's my 2 cents on working for UPS. positive and the negative side of it. If you're thinking about working for UPS, peak season's coming up, man. That line's gonna be lining up. Go get you that money. Go get that money. Later.